I'm Geronimo Jack, and welcome back. I'm here with Tedium. We just finished the very first game of the day. We have Jbozo's team versus Delusional Ninja, who was able to secure that very first win in a very big comeback. Tight game overall. What do you think happened to that game? We talked about it a little bit. Just give a summary. And what do you think that Jbozo's team could do differently in the second game here?
Well, I think Jbozo's team actually played fairly well. I think they were winning the early game, and they were winning the early game like not, for nothing. Like they was like 5 objectives to nothing. They got both mini primes. They got all 3 Fang Teeth. They were decisively winning that game, and it was all on the back of Pop Hero. He was controlling that early game so perfectly. Whether he was ganking or not, it didn't matter. He was farming well, and he was playing the macro around objectives really, really well. He would be tracking the enemy jungler. He'd know they're on the other side, I'm free to take mini prime. They're on the other side, I'm free to take Fangtooth. They're ganking my duo lane, I'm just going to take Fangtooth while they kill my carry. It doesn't matter. I really like that. So Pop Hero was dominant in the early game.
Right.
But about halfway through this game, he started getting picked a little bit too often. So if that just gets sharpened up slightly, I really think that Jbozo and his team, and Pop Hero in specifically, can carry this next game.
I mean, for all we know, he probably just used too much brain power in the early game. Eventually, just kind of ran out of gas, towards the mid game. Like, oh, I'm just gonna get this way. Oh no! So who knows? Maybe a Snickers bar or a quick snack might juice him back up, so he can last. These 50-minute marathons we've seen across the entire tournament. Maybe we're set up
not a
for
short game.
These are certainly not short games, so if people are running out of gas halfway through a game, we're not actually making fun of them. It is just the nature of the beast. You're here for the long haul, whether you like it or not. Everyone's, strapped in their seats. They got their popcorn, their snacks, because we're getting into the next draft right now. It is Delusional Ninja's team versus Jbozo.
I really do hope to see Aurora continue to be contested. I love watching that character. The amount of plays you can make with a wall is just so interesting. And at the same time, I think she's the best base defender in the game. So if you're going to fall behind, I mean, typically with Aurora, you're going to have the lead, at least in the offlane. But if the team falls behind, Aurora's really good at just managing to keep your base alive, at least for a while.
I would like to see the Aurora ban come through. Kind of interesting how Delusional Ninja has actually banned out the gadget that they were using last game. You'd figure with Howitzer having the pressure that he did in the early game, you'd actually kind of want to focus that. But when you think about it, Soul Reaper's not exactly someone you can ban out. He can play every champion in the game at a very high level. So is it just, not worth trying at that point?
I think it probably isn't. He plays so many roles on his stream, and he plays, every single mid, obviously. But I do like the gadget ban from that team, though, because Payload played really well. He was silently really good as well. 6-1, I believe, at the end of the game. And, it wasn't like, Soul Reaper played poorly. He was 8-3 in the end as well. So both mid laners have had a lot of presence in this game, and I'm really happy to see the Grux get picked up as well here. I think Grux, we saw their strength in that previous game, and now not going to be given to Pop Hero, but still, that's another lane dominant hero potentially for Team Delusional Ninja. Howitzer, a great pick. We saw what Soul Reaper could do. I'm assuming he'll do it again just as easily.
Seeing how the game will play out will be quite interesting. We are seeing the Howitzer and Grux pick instead of the Steel this time. Aurora being picked up once again, a staple in this event with the Zarus. The question is the Sparrow going to get through for Jbozo's team? Because that could be a lot of trouble for Ninja and the rest of her team if that does get picked.
Yeah, but we do still have the possibility of picking that Steel. Steel completely wiped out several of the Sparrow ults. And yeah, Steel Wall going to be doing the same thing in this game if that Sparrow is picked up. As you said, Sparrow a little bit stronger in this patch, but Sparrow is still Sparrow. and is hard countered by the same characters that hard countered her last time, Steel being one of them.
And we are looking at the double mid lane ban coming out of Ninja's team, directly targeting Soul Reaper. A Gideon ban is a very good pick against that team comp. Gideon is synergizing extremely well with Zarus and Aurora, so having those two already picked is not a good thing you want to run into for a mid laner. The counter ban is going to be the Narbash, who is also a staple this patch so far. I'm not too sure where we can go from here. What would you like to see on Ninja's team for the next pick?
Well, they're going to want to lock in one of their duo lane players, unless the Steel is, of course, going to be their support. I'm expecting the Steel is going to be in the off lane and Grux is going to be their jungler, so that Chicken can do what was happening in the last game. It's going to be a Muriel picked once again. I actually would have liked to seen the Argus as the support, because then it would be another further mid ban essentially. Or a Bellica as well, something that would have to continuously put payload deeper into his hero pool.
And we are seeing the Muriel pick once again for Ninja, who actually did a very good job last game, but that's going to be countered by Iggy and Scorch and a Drongo. Interesting combo for the last two picks. What do you think?
Well, I really like the Iggy and Scorch. I like to watch the fire burn, and I think he's got a decent matchup into Howitzer. Howitzer doesn't have some of those abilities like, say, a Wraith or a Fae who can just instantly clear the turrets. Eventually, like, because if the Howitzer is using the rocket to clear a turret, that's pretty much all of Howitzer's poke damage in lane wasted away. So instead, the Howitzer's going to have to get in there and maybe use his passive, have that boosted basic attack to kill a turret, or just spam basic attacks on turrets. But it's that Sparrow final pick for Delusional Ninja. They took the Grux, they took the Sparrow. They said, anything you can do, we can do better. We were really dominant in the late game, and so let's get a carry that's going to be dominant in the late game. They pick up the Sparrow this time.
A Sparrow and Muriel is still a very good combo. It allows Sparrow to create that space. You have Steel and Grux both for peel. Howitzer is also kind of a sleeper pick for a peeling mid laner. Being a very, very CC heavy mid laner in Predecessor, but in kind of like a different way that most people don't kind of expect or remember, with the slow mines, with the Howitzer, like the landmine to knock people back. That is a good amount of peel that Sparrow needs to create the space to just chew through the enemy team like she's so well known for.
Yeah, and no Steel on the enemy side to block the ultimate. That full ultimate is going off. Same thing with the Howitzer. Steel hard countered to both those characters, but he's able to bolster themselves as well, because no projectile is going to fly at that Sparrow, and no stun is going to fly at that Howitzer.
All right, let's get right into the game. It's game 2 of the semifinals for BFC5. Your casters here are Geronimo, Jack, and beside me on the color caster is Tedium, who you just heard talk a second ago. It's going to be a map swap. We are having Ninja's team on the Dust side this time around, and we are seeing Jbozo on Dawn's side. So the advantages we saw just a second ago are being flipped around. Game starting off, traditionally people are taking a little longer to buy and get out of base than sometimes we might be used to. Just remember, guys, game starts at 0, not when the minions crash. You need to get ready and position yourself to stop invasions or wards from happening in your own jungle.
I love what Soul Reaper is doing here. He's doing what I do every time I play Howitzer, debating with myself whether I have to get Epoch or I'm allowed to get the Obelisk. And that is what he was doing in his base. Going, they've got the Aurora, they got a Zarus. I should probably get an Epoch. But no, I want to dominate my lane. I am getting my Obelisk.
He is here to flex. He does not like how the last game ended up playing out. So he's going to show up and throw around the weight that he's known for. I've played against him a handful of times. There's a YouTube video of me being absolutely bodied 30 times in a row. Which was a very fun experience. Really happy I got to be a part of that, and I'm now a part of Predecessor history in that manner. Nothing super crazy happening in builds at the moment. Teams aren't really posturing. Anything you'd like to see as the game goes on?
Well, I really hope that Soul Reaper is going to build that Soul Binder, that new item that has just been released in this patch. It allows you to get stacks of damage permanently every time you deal ability damage at a certain distance. And that is just perfect for Howitzer because all 4 of his abilities do trigger that passive. So as long as it's available, that's a permanent stack of magical power for him whenever he wants with any ability that's off cooldown.
And if he decides to get the Soul Binder on top of that, that is going to scale pretty hard. We are just, talk about the last bit or the last game a little bit, stat lines, damage, anything you find interesting from last game that might be worth watching out for before this game really starts to kick off, which we're actually seeing a little bit of post going through in the off lane, both off laners just ignoring each other's health bars or ignoring the fact that they might need a little bit of health, just whacking each other in the side of the head over and over again.
Well, one thing I would like to see is a little bit more focused onto payload, which might be what we're seeing from Chicken. They were able to just kind of get free reign of the mid lane. The Pop Hero might be in danger.
And they are actually going to gank from both junglers. It's Pop Hero's going to the focus, dropping the Hoarfrost and jumping away using the Aurora passive, able to get out. No kills in the mid lane, but a little bit of pressure in favor of Payload, who hits level 3 just before Soul Reaper does. The river buffs are spawning, so we may see a little bit of a scrap depending on what the mid laners want to do in the early game. And they are going to trade off. It's Howitzer going for the left buff, forcing Iggy to go on the right buff. But Payload, once again, oddly choosing not to engage at all, despite having the minion pressure advantage ever so slightly. He's going to take the back instead.
I think it's because he didn't have vision of the enemy jungler, and he did know that his own jungler was quite low and committed to this blue buff and committed to that 4 camp. So better not to overextend as an Iggy. You don't really want to burn your flash on that character, unlike a Gadget who can, place her, little line and walk right through it and root the enemy. She's a little bit safer. And last Pyrex, not as safe as he was last time because he's not on Aurora.
No, Chicken looking to engage. He's going to dash forward, get the knock up. Last Pyrex dropping up, bringing up the shield to mitigate that damage, but it might not be enough as the double pain comes through. He able to actually blink away from the dash on Seeknix, securing his own life and applying a little bit of damage in return to Chicken. There is no trade in the duo lane.
No trade at all. And Pyrex, though, does have to burn his flash. That's 2. Yeah, that is 2. Sorry.
Okay, don't worry. We got you. We're here for a while. It was a long game last game.
I think I'm like 15 seconds ahead of you.
All right, that's fair. I refreshed. I am now at 440.
Yeah, 441. Yeah, okay.
441. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being patient. Internet problems galore this weekend for the production team. But, we chug on through. The show must go on. We are now at 4:55, going to 5 minutes with the river buff spawning right here. Payload at well. Yeah, and Pop Hero now walking in, looking for the gank. Going right into Soul Reaper is able to pick up the river buff. Payload, no mana, going to follow up with a Molotov. They are knocking each other back, forcing the blink out. Chicken coming in now onto Pop Hero. Soul Reaper's in trouble as Pushka is there with Decker, allowing Payload to secure the kill. Iggy turrets. Pop Hero in trouble now as the double pain goes through and able to secure the kill onto Aurora. Pushka just applying whatever damage, followed by the Muriel to maybe secure the kill onto Chicken, but he goes down instead. That is 2-1 with the very first kills of the game finally going through.
And Pushka actually burned his flash. He died the same frame. His flash went off to the bleed. And so that's really unfortunate there for the Decker. But Payload getting first blood is huge. We saw what he could do in the last game, 6-1, quietly dealing a lot of damage. It's going to be the same thing here in this game, especially once he's gotten first blood on his lane opponent as this Iggy.
Yeah, and that is Seeknix taking a little more damage in the duo lane. Chicken is on his 5 camp. Probably wants to take the back here, but we've seen a lot of aggression out of this game. He's trying not to have the early game go the way it did last time. He's the one who wants to add that pressure and get that focus off. And as the Grux, he's able to do that. With Aurora's not the champion to secure those early game objectives really needs the team to support those takes and that pressure.
Absolutely. The payload here, not going to be able to, have a lot of kill pressure onto Soul Reaper without the ganks from the help of his Aurora, but able to just poke out just a little bit. I kind of want to talk about this Aurora and this Zarus. I really do tend to prefer Aurora in the offlane than in the jungle, and I actually prefer Zarus in the jungle over offlane, even though he is quite a dominant offlaner. I think his ability to gank really easily, he's got mobility, he's got a good stun, he's got lots of damage, he can clear his camps really well, and of course his ultimate, once that's online, he has a lot more potential to get kills with it as soon as possible, because there's squishier members of the opposing team on the other side of the map than, a steal here. That's why I really like Zarus in the jungle, but Chicken here on this mini prime.
Chicken does seem to be taking that prime completely uncontested. No one knows he's there. However, it is going to be Pyrex going down as the R2000 does miss, but that last auto attack on Soul Reaper goes through to pick up the kill onto the Zarus. They are going to answer the call by handshaking and taking the Fang Suits across the map. The whole team is there minus the Zarus. The mini prime does go down for the orange team, and the blue team picking up their own objective. I want to know how that mini prime is going to be used, because they are on a shorter time limit now. They don't have that first thing.
Yeah, that is true. Well, they potentially aren't going to look for a tower with that mini prime, kind of just use it as a way to make sure that the enemy doesn't have access to it, and as a way to just get that bonus XP for the entirety of the orange side. XP leads very, very important, as well as the kill lead. And maybe actually Chicken is looking for a kill here in duo, and maybe the tower right after that. They do have
He walks right in, gets the knock up, forcing the blink out of Jbozo. His team's going to follow up as Sparrow going to throw out those multi arrows and chew them apart. Soul Reaper in the mid lane, poking things out. Pop Hero coming in, dropping down the Hoarfrost, going to do a little bit of damage as we do see the Reversal Fortune coming through. It's going to be an engage once again from Chicken, who's forcing the blink out of payload, having to blink right over his head. He does have the Orb Prime now. This puts them in the position where they actually need to run down the mid lane possibly, but Iggy is there, so they won't be able to do a whole lot. They're looking at Pyrex once again now, who is going to be ganked momentarily. I don't think he knows it's actually happening, as Chicken's walking in with that gray buff. Bit of slow going down. It's going to miss from Soul Reaper. Yeah, and that is the Aurora Bolt to try and peel, forcing Reaper to use the Make It Rain to get over and do what he can. Pop Hero now trying to get away himself, using the Hoarfrost. He's going to get hit in the head by the stun on Steel. Pyrex following through with the Coliseum, able to secure a kill, but at what cost? It could be the 2-1 trade, and that is the case. 2 down in favor of the blue team, only 4-1 on the orange team.
I loved what last Pyrex was able to do in the last game, doing crazy things at the tower line with Aurora, but I don't think it's the same when you're playing as Zarus. Aurora much safer. Zarus can really only dash away. He can of course blink, but his ultimate, while it does have mobility, it's only mobility in an engage. It's no disengage potential really for the Zarus once all 3 of the enemy members are on top of him. I think the playstyle that last Pyrex is, electing to go with just doesn't work with the character that he is playing. Steel is not really in, kill range to Azarus, especially at this point in the game. They have enough, levels, they have enough items that Steel's not going to die. So Steel can just sit under his tower. He'll lose out on gold, and it doesn't really matter because Steel is also designed to be a support, right? He doesn't need a lot of gold. Who cares if he misses some XP? Who cares if he misses some CS? He's just going to chill there and wait. And eventually someone's going to rotate in, probably Soul Reaper, because he loves to gank the offlane.
And I really just want to see the Zarus, Pyrex, just rotate into the mid lane and use the Zarus to his advantage. He has the Coliseum. Iggy doesn't have Blink right now, so why are you trying to out CS and push into a steal when you can just shove the wave and then rotate and get a free kill on cooldown?
Yeah, that's what I said. I love Azaris in the jungle because he's just able to do so more often. He has a lot more options for targets. Pyrex really felt desperate to get a stack there and trade out and get a kill onto Howitzer, who was low in that engagement on right side. And another engagement is going to happen on right side because, as I said, Soul Reaper loves to gank this lane.
And there is the dash forward, followed by 2000. Make it rain coming through onto Pyrex, who's able to dodge it by walking around the pillar in the off lane. Gets a little bit more poke as Howitzer's doing what he can to try and apply any damage. There is the shield slam coming through on Steel, who's able to secure the kill. And I want to quickly talk about the pathing that Soul Reaper took. He actually took the bomb plant over the prime pit and then walked straight through to the off lane.
Soul Reaper probably has a lot of practice with the weird pathing to the off lane because, as I said, he loves to gank that lane. He really hard focuses on making sure that the other offlaner does go down. His blink is forced, though, because of this engagement here onto his tower in mid. 3 in his lane, and Chicken is responding.
And that is a very big engagement, although no kills going through in the mid lane. We are seeing the Cryoseism come out of the Aurora, but it doesn't translate, as we just mentioned. Fangtooth is spawning, so I want to see these teams reset and get themselves ready, because this is going to be another very big fight that dictates the next, 5-10 minutes of this game.
I think what they really wanted to do was punish Soul Reaper for rotating to the offlane so many times and get that tower finally. Look at the amount of damage that Payload has been able to deal to that tower. They wanted to secure it prior to this Fangtooth that's just coming up right now, as everyone is posturing around this objective. Payload pushing a wave into the tower, but it's not going to take it. Payload going for a reset right before this.
Oh, great pull from Chicken onto the Decker, who's able to drop the shield cage and and able to walk away from the engagement. Nothing coming out of that once again. The score has been 2-7 for a little while now. Chicken dashing forward, but not understanding depth perception, as the gap is not small enough for him to actually get that knockup and secure it. Soul Reaper in the off lane to answer Pyrex, who's trying to poke him out, who's now being shoved under the tower. This does buy his team time to secure not only a tower, but possibly objective. Pop Hero using the Aurora Wall to section off his own team from the engagement for some reason. Oh no, it's Pop Hero on the Aurora. He was sectioning off the enemy team from that. As the fight does come through, Iggy able to pick up a kill there. And Pop Hero going to look at, no, Chicken going to look at a kill. Pop Hero now dashing forward on to the enemy team as we have a kill going through. Jbozo picking it up. Payload on to Black Tornado. It's Sparrow who's going down. And I'm sorry, guys. We are having all sorts of internet issues today as my screen is refreshing 6 times in that fight.
Yeah, same thing on my end here. But because of that huge engagement from the blue side, it looks like they are able to probably get the advantage on this Fangtooth. But no, Soul Reaper alive enough, and the others, low enough that his presence is enough to, keep them off of that objective. But it's going to be the focus again for this next engagement. Iggy, though, probably going to be taking out this mid tier 1, which is going to help them on this objective.
Yeah, and that seems to be the case. We are seeing a nice even up on the score line, 6-7 now at 15 minutes and 10 seconds. The rebuffs are there, but they haven't been taken on the right side. Teams should be looking at possibly a reset and a buy. We are seeing Payload buy that Soulbinder on Iggy. The nice thing about Soulbinder is any dot damage that applies will trigger that Soulbinder passive and give you that nice little bit of 1 point of extra damage that will stack. Soulbinder does need the extra range, but Chicken there now going to drop the Warlord challenge onto Iggy. Payload is going to knock him under tower with his own ultimate, having to blink forward. The bleed might secure the kill, and it is enough to get that last 16 HP on the Iggy and secure it out.
Huge from the Grux there, getting that kill, getting the blink as well, and the ultimate. That's pretty much everything that the Iggy had. And now potentially presence around this Fangtooth as the mid laner, who actually deals so much zoning damage and actually deals so much damage to objectives as well, is not available to help the blue side on the objective.
When you pick an Iggy like that, your job is to be the first one at the objective for every single objective, no question asked. If you die, you are losing a lot of pressure for your team, as Pop Hero is able to take the tower, or not defend the tower of the mid lane down. He's going to have Soul Reaper burn the ultimate on Howitzer and not able to secure the kill, but Pyrex now looking at Soul Reaper is able to do a little bit of damage as Howitzer is trying to just dance through his own mindful to do whatever damage he can, but Coliseum does go through. Muriel with the reversal of fortune to try and peel for the team. It may not be enough. It actually is payload going down on the engagement that Pyrex wants. The shield slam going through, but Pyrex once again able to blink at the last possible second before the damage actually manages to secure the kill on himself. This entire time in the Fangtooth pit is a little old Drongo taking an objective, and they're going to answer that with the handshake on the mini prime.
Yeah, but keep in mind, without one Fangtooth, this is a shortened mini prime. Chicken is going to be able to get it very easily. Who's he giving it to? Well, I guess himself, but he just wasn't smiting it. And on the other side, Jbozo and Pop Hero do get that second Fang. I think this mini prime is going to be pretty ineffective in getting any towers because, of course, it's a shortened duration, and the 2 tier 1s in that area are not available anymore unless they want to group as at least 4 and push down this duo lane. I don't think any tower is going to come down as a result of this mini prime. Chicken would have to blink in there to get anything going.
I think that does seem to be the case, though. They are possibly looking at, pressuring the mid wave out. Chicken now rotating away, choosing to do his 2 camp instead, as Payload in the mid lane managed to get a nice wave into that very low health last hit T1 tower, opening up the map for his team. Pop Hero in the duo lane right now, looking to walk onto the Muriel, get the Horfrost out. It's not in range. Black Commander answers with his own ultimate. The Decker Cage comes through. Pop Hero going forward. The Cryo Siren getting it out. Black Tornado being caught in the gag grenade by Jbozo, who's able to secure a kill onto the Muriel. And on the other side of the map, after Pop Hero secures his own kill, it's going to be Pyrex going down as well to that double buffed, or that buffed up prime wave. 2v1, Chicken and Seeknix now taking a T1 tower.
Yeah, Soul Reaper taking the 2 camp, the tier 2 falling to Seeknix and Chicken probably shortly. And all that the blue side can do is trade out a tier 1 tower and duo. But with 3 people on their own red side, they have lost a lot of map control because of that gank onto last Pyrex.
Yeah, and they are able to secure that T2, as you said. Not a huge answer in return. Pyrex getting himself caught out, I think it is a big case of Aurora syndrome, where he's so used to being safe from the last game. He's not really paying attention to his surroundings as much, because he didn't really need to. Different case in this case, and they're taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I also didn't love the use of the ultimate in that 2v1. There was pretty much no kill potential, so instead it's just a big cooldown used up, and Zars really doesn't want to use that ult in this phase of the game if he's not going to be getting a kill or at least a blink, because you want to get those stacks as soon as possible, and using it for nothing for 3 more seconds of survivability as you're in the air doesn't really result in much.
When you think about it, it's not even 3 seconds, because the second Zars walks out of that shield, it's when the wall goes down. Pop Hero going to dash forward and get the Cryoseism out. It actually does manage to just hit at max range, but no one's there to really follow through. I believe we saw Jbozo dash forward. I thought he blinked. He did not, so he still has that up in the mid lane. We are seeing the 1v1s as both mid laners are starting to flex their skill, egos, and damage just a little bit. Seeknix coming up from the top rope. It should be the shield. He does land the stun. Make it rain coming through. Soulbearer applying a little bit of mitigation, not enough, as Soul Reaper is going to secure the kill onto Iggy. Pop Hero now in the mid lane, as the rest of Soul Reaper's team is starting to rotate over for the hate crime on the T1. I believe that they know they're in trouble. The Decker wall does come down as Chicken does dash forward. There is the blink from the Drongo, followed by the Liberator shield, just to keep himself alive a little longer. But that is cooldowns now that allows Chicken and his team to just flex and take the jungle apart, which is what they're looking to do.
Yeah, big secure of utility coming out because of that Grux gank. Blink coming out from the Drongo and the cleanse. He's looking very weak for the next engagement around this Fangtooth. The cleanse should be back up, but that Blink will not be. Drongo is going to be, should be scared once that Fangtooth is up because he is going to be the target along with the jungler.
Yeah, and they are just dismantling the jungle as best they can, trying to get whatever farm, minions, CS, however you want to put it, on the board, get that gold, and keep themselves relevant in the game. I think we have a minute here before posturing begins for that prime to actually look at the scoreboard and maybe get a quick look at builds and items. Soulbinder stacking up over time for the Iggy, who now has the Wraith leggings, giving him that move speed that he needs to kind of keep that distance. We are seeing Fangtooth come through right now. As we have, general score. Chicken is 6-1 this game, which is quite incredible. Payload at 4-3, just seeing things the way they play out. Fangtooth spawning now. We are seeing Pyrex and Seeknix once again, as they have all game, just whack each other in the side of the head. The team looking to secure the objective as Aurora is able to dodge the pull and grab of Chicken. Going to engage anyway, get this cryoseism off and deal a little bit of CC and damage, possibly to Ninja, but on the sideline, it's going to be Black Tornado picking up the kill on Pyrex, and then Pop Hero answering with the Muriel, but going down to the Grux. Iggy and Scorch trying to run away as best as they can, but that's it. It's going to be a 4-0 in favor of DlusionalNinja's team. They're looking to get their very first Fangtooth of the game. Decker's the only one left to possibly, protect it, but not very wise.
One of the things that Jbozo's team really had going for them in that first game was they got all 3 of the initial Fangteeth. This time, not going to be the case. The objective's looking very different, as it's the Grux on the other team this time who has control of the objectives. 2 mini primes and that first Fangtooth, a third Fangtooth first for them. This is the snowball for that side. The snowball for DlusionalNinja is probably going to start a little bit sooner, and I expect this game to be 5 minutes shorter because their snowball is starting just 5 minutes earlier. But keep in mind, 2 cages on blue side and a cryoseism, so much control. So any team fight that's in advantage of the blue side is going to be dominant.
Yeah, and that seems to be what is happening here, as they know they have the advantage. Jbozo once again going on to the objective, and they are walking to the pit to apply a little bit of safety, but the enemy team is surrounding Howitzer, dashing forward to make it rain, trying to get on the objective as last Pyrex gets across as them off, followed up by Muriel, the reversal of fortune to try and peel for the team. Sickness going in with his own shield slam. Chicken could go down, and Pop Hero looks to just get away at Blink. Oh, a health bar. And that is yet another team wipe. Black Tornado, not even there on that side of the map. That was a 4v5 fight. He's taking down the inhib while his team takes that prime.
Seeknix with an insane shield slam at the tail end of that engagement. Both walls go down, cryoseism goes down, and once they all group up to try and follow up on all that setup, it's Seeknix who stops it in its tracks, up and down on all 3, and they all explode to the damage. And sadly for the blue side, Chicken gets out at a sliver of HP. If he had gone down, things might look a little bit different.
And the amazing thing about that fight is that was a 4v5, right? Pyrex and his team, they were looking to get the objective. They saw Spare and they said, let's rip it, let's get through. And then they lost the man advantage anyway, not only losing a team wipe, losing the prime, but you get your consolation prize of an inhib went down too.
Yeah, this is look, if Aurora is amazing at defending base, just fight and go for the base when Aurora is not there, because she was busy at that orb prime. This is going to help the orange side a lot, because now there's going to be constant pressure on that side of the map for the next engagements on any of these objectives, because of course that inhibitor cannot defend itself when it comes back.
And I would have liked to break down that Orb Prime fight a little more, because we saw Soul Reaper come over the wall, but then the rest of the team came in from the side flank, and it didn't really work out for the blue team all that much, who has to blink forward. Pyrex getting hit by a lot of damage, and that's going to be Steel picking up the kill in the off lane. This game is running away from the blue team. I believe we may see the 2-0.
I believe so as well, but small fortune for them. The Sparrow has just DC'd, as you said that. So maybe,
Of course,
monkey's
paw all the time.
Yeah, Caster cursed them just a little bit. Black Tornado run into base very swiftly. But of course, Soul Reaper on this Hauser does still deal a lot of tower damage. And of course, the primed up minions, as long as the Aurora isn't in the area, they get to smack the tower for free as well.
And it does seem to be the case right now, as Chicken's team is going to run down. They have the towers pushed in all lanes. They are going to get the inhib on the right side as the team begins to back up. They're trying to peel for the mid lane tower, and it might not be enough, as even though the Sparrow has DC'd, Ninja's team is still pushing forward, looking for that next objective, getting that wave in. Pop here doing what he can to try and apply that peel, but it's not going to be enough. He has to dash away. He's walking right into the Steel. He's going to land a big shield slam onto 3, securing the kill onto the Drongo. Jbozo going down. Pushka following up by trying to apply a little bit of peel and CC for his team, but there's nothing there. Seeknik's going to drop the steel wall to stop the damage from coming through, and he's going to lose his life for it. Pyrex taking the jump pad, going through, getting the Coliseum onto DlusionalNinja, who actually gets to blink away. Is he going to get the shield through? No, another reversal of fortune to apply himself some more space, some more time. The consecrated ground going through. That is a very low Muriel walking away with next to no health, and they're not able to secure the kill on the 1 HP Muriel, who sat there for 20 seconds. Instead, they have to back up, protect that core, which is taking an awful lot of damage from a very big minion wave at the moment.
For the second time in 5 minutes, DlusionalNinja and her team win a 4v5. One time it's because the Sparrow was taking an inhib, and the second time it's because Sparrow was taking a break. But Black Tornado has just returned, and now with the Fangtooth coming up and the first Primal Fangtooth coming up, it's looking like that is going to be the death knell for the blue side.
At that point, I just say, hey, Tornado, don't worry. Take the rest of the game off. You and your sandwich, go get it. Take some lunch. We'll recharge you for the next game. We got this. As we are seeing Chicken and Soul Reaper run right to that Primal Fangtooth. They are a little low, but hopefully that Icecorn Talons is able to give them that DPS check they need to just get through the objective. The rest of the team is walking in now, and there's no way for Zaris or anyone on Jbozo's team to answer that. That's going to be an evening out on Fangteeth for Chicken's team. Soul Reaper also going to take the back. I'm kind of curious to see what he's going to buy there. He's got, most of his items through. Pyrex now clearing the wave out. They have to defend their base as best as they can.
Well, they really just need to be pushing out these waves. Pop Hero trying to get as many levels as he can, trying to get that 3rd level in the ultimate, because the Cryoseism is huge for the team fights. I think they just need to push out these waves. They need to pray that they can get one insane team fight where they don't leave someone who's critical at 1 HP able to get away. They just need to be able to finish off a kill or two, because I think they've been so close in these team fights.
Ninja showing a lot of creativity in that last fight, and even though they're in a rock and a hard place, essentially, they're still able to keep their cool and use that ultimate to get away and, keep themselves alive. In the process, also keeping the teammates alive, because she was able to use that consecrated ground and apply some more shields onto the team, so they lived in the process of keeping herself alive. So, a lot of juggling in that moment that actually paid off for that team.
Absolutely. And luckily for the blue side, the left-hand inhibitor has respawned. That one, of course, on a different timer than the other two. So they don't have to, be drawn to the complete opposite side of the map of this Orb Prime, which is just respawning shortly.
And they are able to secure the red buff from the enemy, I believe from the enemy team. Soul Reaper now with the Primal Fangtooth, looking to apply a bit of poke damage from the side wall at the T2 in the off lane. They're going to back up as the sound of Prime landing into the map does go through. They're looking to posture for a pick, but they are on vision and they don't quite know that yet. So this could lead to some haha funnies against Soul Reaper, while the rest of the team does jump right onto the Orb Prime. As soon as it spawns, it's already at a 3rd HP. Not a whole lot Jbozo's team can do, is now Chicken and Ninja's team have the double buff this late in the game. That could spell absolute disaster. It is their game to run down and win. I don't see them taking this too much further than this.
Pop Hero really needs to get back to base. I like this attempt of pushing out these waves, getting a little bit of farm, but that reset is going to be required soon because Aurora is the key to defending this base. Iggy has a lot of wave clear. He's got his turrets, but a wall off of that ledge here on the right-hand side could block an entire wave of minions. That is what is required, but Pop Hero might even be pushing up further.
Yeah, taking an odd choice here, going to take longer to back than needed. Chicken going to take out the inhib just in case, but the core is looking a little spicy as Pop Hero takes the jump pad through. He's going to walk by the whole team and focus that minion wave instead. In the meantime, they're losing that inhib on the dual lane. Once again, mid lane inhib is going to spawn, buying some more time. A lot of interesting choices happening from both teams and miss opportune times. Secret's now going to engage with the ultimate on the steal, forcing the blink out of Jbozo. Decker Cage goes down as shield wall goes up, and they are looking to secure the last bit of the game. This could be the 2-0 that we were talking about. Last push coming through potentially as they're doing their best to defend that core from knocking themselves out of the game. Aurora going to jump up and mitigate the minions as they take damage from the core's AoE. Just pulsing. There's a lot going on here, man. I swear to Lord. Just the teams are doing what they can to try and push in by time. The Prime is still up. They still have the sustain from that buff. We aren't too sure what is going to go down, because even though I think that Ninja has the advantage, there is a lot of really good peel, as you said. Pop Hero having to burn the passive, try and create some space and not die. Pushka taking a good chunk of damage from the house behind the wall coming up. Pyrex going with a Coliseum onto the steal, catching 3 in the target, but there's a shield slam coming through as they are knocked back. Pop Hero onto the Sparrow. Black Tornado going down. The core is at 0, so they are able to secure that last kill, but it is the game. 34 minutes in favor of DlusionalNinja, getting the 2-0, going on to the finals.